something I think is so important. What is your why? What motivated you to become a counsellor? And this is not just an arbitrary question to think about. It can become a real helpful foundation for you as you move through your arc of training, as you go out into your qualified life as a counsellor or a psychotherapist. And you may even find yourself coming back to this foundation after being a mature therapist and being in practice for more than 10 years. I know I do, Rory, and I know you do too. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we mean by that motivation and why it's important?
Yeah, I think it hooks into your moral compass. I can remember when I started to train, I spoke to my now late friend, and he said, why are you going to be sitting in front of people listening to their problems? That doesn't sound like a very good job. And I said, I want to help people. I want to be of service to people. And if I can afford to buy my tea bags along the way, that would be great. It's a calling. And that was my why. And I've come back to that why many times, and it's part of the underpinning of Counselling Tutor. Counselling Tutor is about helping those people who we'll never meet, your clients. At the end of the day, if we can provide resources and information that help you work with clients, then that's our why. And I think the why is a bit of a life buoy to hold on to in a stormy sea when you're struggling along. We all have that. And certainly as a student, I can remember coming back to my second year thinking, I don't know if I can eat beans on toast twice a week for another year. And I've had some assignments referred and I'm working 6.5 days a week. And it was just coming back to that why, holding on to that kind of emotional, intellectual life buoy that guided me, that made me reset my moral compass again to understand why this work is so important. And it continues to be important 20 years since I've qualified, but it can be really handy if you're struggling or you feel yourself thinking, oh, another assignment referred, or I'm struggling to get a placement, just to hold on to the core reason why you want to be a therapist and just to speak it out loud is really helpful because it will pull you above the water and support you as you go through to your success of qualifying.
This topic is viewed by Rory and myself as so important that when we were asked to speak at Bangor University to the master's group, it was the very topic that we chose, your why. And here's the thing, counseling, psychotherapy, you're dealing with other people's hurt, shame, misery, not all the time. And of course, there's nuance within that, but it can be heavy material. And we're working with a level of empathy where we're at some level taking part of that on board. And yes, of course, we have our self-care regime and principles and supervision and our support system around us to minimize the impact of that on ourselves as we go through our journey. But it remains tough work and it can get really tough at times. And then when you level on top of that, the frustrations of just day-to-day being in any kind of business or any kind of office. You might find yourself in a agency with systems and processes and other people, and there can be clashes within that, and it can become frustrating at times. It can be, why am I doing this? And you can look at maybe the money you're earning and go, is this really worth it? And it's at times like that that this why is so important. It's going back and going, why am I actually doing this in the first place? And if you start that process during your counselling training, because trust me, if you've been in counselling training for a year or two, you're going to know it's tough training. It's really tough training because it's not just about what you learn in the books and the theory and the skills. You're bringing part of you into your counselling training as well. You're putting yourself under a magnifying glass and looking at parts of yourself that you may not have looked at before, and some challenging stuff may arise for you. This is why counsellors are in most courses required to do their own personal therapy, to have a look at what has been coming up for them. And it can get tiring. It can feel overwhelming at times, and it can feel like, do I really want to carry on and do this? And I know I felt like that at one stage. I really did. I got to a stage where I thought, I've learned such wonderful stuff on this counselling course that I've done. It was in my third year at the time, and I thought, do I really need a piece of paper telling me that I've done it? I've learned so much and I can do so much good. I don't have to become a counsellor. And then I revisited my why. Why did I start this process in the first place? And it was the same as you, Rory, through different roads and a different life path. It was to make a difference in the lives of others. And I realized that in order to do that, I had to push through. And it gave me that little energy boost of, you know what, I am going to do this. And a why is like your North Star. It's always there. If you get lost, if night gets dark and you don't know where you are, you can always look up and go, where's that North Star? And you can reorientate yourself and have something that you know you are following for the best of reasons. Nobody can give you your why. It only lives within you, and it will differ from person to person and how their why came up. But it's a great conversation to have with peers. Some people will choose to keep that confidential for themselves, and that's okay too. But look, why are you doing this? What's the reason that you decided to go, you know what, I'm going to become a counsellor? And the other thing about a why is that it is not a goal. A goal is achievable and measurable. So when you achieve your goal, you can say, I've done it. I want to buy that house. And once it's paid off, you can go, now I've done it. I've achieved that goal. A why is bigger than a goal. You never get to the end. My why is to make a difference in the lives of other people, even if I don't know who they are. There's never going to be a day where I wake up and I go, that's it, I've made the difference in the lives of the people I don't know. Now what am I going to do next? It's a lifetime pursuit. And even if I step out of counselling, which I'm no longer in practice, I'm still involved in the same why. As with you, Rory, we're here in Counselling Tutor, sharing information, training, resources, so many of them free. Why? Because we know it makes a difference. We get feedback from counsellors who take the courses that say it makes a difference. And our why in Counselling Tutor is a combination of Rory's why, my why, our team coming together and sharing their why. And our why in Counselling Tutor is to make a difference in the lives of your clients. Because we know that a counsellor who is safe within their practice, competent within their practice, has the right training, is able to meet a client where they are at and make a difference in their lives. So I guess in some ways, Rory, in Counselling Tutor, we make a difference in the lives of clients we will never meet through the wonderful counsellors and psychotherapists who share this journey with us. And with students, that's the journey you're on. And it is a magnificent and noble journey. It really is, but it does get difficult, tiring, overwhelming at times, as does many things in life. Having your why, having what is my reason, and being able to go and look at that, so important. You said write it down, Rory. My wife has a tattoo of her why. So she's really that's a commitment, isn't it? I'm not going to share her why. That's hers to share. No, but that's real commitment, isn't it, of her?
Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, Ken, I think it's no secret that although we're now peers, I taught you on the diploma course.
You did.
And do you remember what the first lesson was on that first year diploma?
Oh, no, that was many years ago, Rory. Remind me and then I'll remember it.
It was, why do you want to be a counsellor?
Sneaky. I see what you were doing there now.
Yes. And it was the way I was taught. When I was at my first lesson, I thought, right, we're off now with these theories and all this technique, and I'm ready to go. And I sat down, and not for the first time in my counselling career, I was a bit nonplussed. The tutor said, I want you to get into groups and share why you want to become a counsellor. And we all got into groups, and some people shared quite openly. Some shared in a kind of more nuanced way and said, I've had events in my past. Or most people said, I've had therapy myself, and it was transformational. And it was amazing how many people through the arc of the course who were really struggling. And we all finished. There was 17 at the beginning and there was 17 people at the end. And when we came to the end, which was incredible, we're all different people. We were not the people who started the course, definitely not. Our views of the world and our views of ourselves had changed immensely. But our whys still remained the same. For me, still do to this day.
Exactly. It doesn't wear out. It doesn't get old. It doesn't get stale. A why continues to motivate. It is so deep within us, the why. And that's why it is such a strong foundation to go back to in times of difficulty. When your why is powerful enough, the how becomes more easy. It eases our way when we revisit our why. And it's very easy, Rory, to get lost in the story. So I used an example of being in an agency and there's a number of counsellors there and it's busy and your workload is high and that person said this and they didn't put the file in the right place and I didn't do that and I didn't have enough leave. Very easy to get caught in those stories. If we can wake up when we're in those places and just go back to our, why am I doing this? Aha, I know why I'm doing this. Then all of that story becomes inconsequential. It really does. It pales into insignificance when you put it next to your why. Your why is the most powerful thing that you have as a student. And I hope that you accept this as a gift. I hope you see it. That is my wish for you, the importance of your why.
Yeah, well said, Ken. It's really important. And I always said, Ken, that counsellors aren't educated, they're forged. And they're forged in the fire of personal development and the processes of becoming a therapist. And I had some students who had done degrees, master's degrees. One had a PhD. And she said, this is a lot harder than doing a PhD. She was a psychologist. And I said, you know what they say? I said, psychology is observing the mountain and counselling's climbing the mountain, carrying someone along with you. And that's the difference. And we need people who are strong enough to be able to do that.